We recap Monday night's Community Preservation Committee meeting on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Tuesday, April 26, 2016. I'm Sarah Colvin. Affordable housing, land improvement, and historic buildings were the focus at Monday night's Community Preservation Committee meeting. Ladara Zola with the Habitat for Humanity land acquisition team presented a letter of intent for a housing development planned on River Road in Marston's Mills.
Affordable housing. There will be permanent deed riders, 100% affordable. So if we do 4 units and we're at the exploration stage, which is why we've put in the term up to 4 units, all the affordable homes are eligible for the subsidized housing inventory, the SHI. They will be affordable, they will be deed restricted, affordable to households earning at or below 80%. On initial sale, we go even lower, we go to 60 or 65% affordability. It is home ownership, and it will be new construction.
And a butter raised concerns about the project. CPC Chair Lindsay Council explained the process, saying there will be plenty of time for more input from the public.
One reviews a letter of intent, which is really a one-page letter stating what you intend to do with the project and what your funding sources are going to be. So the motion that's before us is to approve the letter of intent, and then we send it to a full application, which lists all the details of the project funding partners, what the percentage of the money from community preservation would be used for, which you heard briefly about. And that's generally at our next meeting a month from now.
Okay.
So we have a month to look at this, and the members get a chance to review it as well. So we're not approving any funding tonight. We're merely moving it to a full presentation, if you will.
The CPC voted in favor of moving the project from letter of intent to full application status. The 2 remaining projects on the fiscal 2017 capital improvement plan required the approval of the CPC. Barnstable, member of the Department of Public Works, Mark Marinaccio, presented plans for the improvement at the Lombard Fields.
The Lombard property in 1754, Parker Lombard died at the age of 34, and in his will he left some 48 acres of land located throughout what is now the village center and along Navigation Road in trust to be, quote, hired out to the highest bidder by those persons that the town shall appoint from time to time, and the rent or income shall be improved for the use or benefit of the poor for the town of Barnstable from one generation to another and never be sold. Donald Treasure, Barnstable, 3 Centuries of Cape Cod Town, 1939. The first Selectmen's building still stands on the Lombard farm alongside Meeting House Way. In 1786, the town built a poorhouse on the Lombard land, and in 1821, a second poorhouse was built. Lombard House, as it later became known, was used until the 1960s when the state took over the welfare program. In 1972, the buildings were torn down. 3 schoolhouses have been built at the corner of Meeting House Way and Lombard Avenue. The last schoolhouse built is now the West Barnstable Community Building, and these public-used portions of the Lombard land are leased by the town from the trust. So you see there's a long history of this land being used by the public. This is a graphic of the existing site conditions, and as we all know, there's certain issues that that users have put up with over the years. One is kind of the mud bowl, kind of in this area here that happens every spring. People are parking, trying to use the playground, trying to use the old Selectmen's building, and it gets kind of muddy out there. The parking is relatively disorganized, kind of a free-for-all with a stone base. The ball field is currently in rough conditions. The playground is situated in an area where, you know, some foul balls tend to end up in the area, which is not safe. And generally speaking, the site tends to be fractured in association of the spaces working together. Here's some photographs. You know, Old Selectmen's building upper right, the West Barnstable Community Building in the lower right. Luke's Love Playground. So first thing I looked at is whether this project can be funded by community preservation funds. And if you'll notice that in 2012, the regulation was changed to allow for rehabilitation and restoration of recreation fields. This was the design that's been developed. It organizes the parking areas, so we have separate parking areas for the different uses, yet puts a curvature to it so it has a more park-like feel. It's gone from 57 spaces to 73 that are now organized. This scheme actually relocates Luke's Love out behind the old Selectmen's building. The plan is to use the current wood fence or screening around that. This is actually the design drawing. So they've added some walking paths around the ballpark and sidewalks. Actually relocated the entrance so that we don't have, an entrance here and out and a lot of dead end parking. You come in and it makes the parking a little more usable and accessible. And this was our preliminary budget. It broke down with the community preservation request of $750,000. I think I've included a more detailed estimate with the application here.
CPC member Richard Sawyer spoke in favor of the plan.
Having sit on the Recreation Commission, I just wanted the committee to know here that the Recreation Commission has seen this and vetted it quite extenuous. I also attended several of the meetings, and the last meeting that I did attend at the Selectmen's Hall was very well received by the community. And I myself personally was very pleased with the design draw. It addressed all of the concerns of everyone, including lighting, drainage, field improvements, and moving of Luke's Love. And so it was very highly touted. I want to point out a couple of things to this committee. One is that the moving of Luke's Love is not under CPC funding. It'd be under CIP funding. The second thing is I noticed Mark did a clever thing. He put all contingency funds under CIP instead of CPC, which is one of my big things. I just wanted to tell you that the Recreation Commission highly recommends the passage of this appropriation.
CPC member Laura Schufelt made a motion to delay approval, asking for more time to review the plan. That motion was voted down 5-2. The committee then voted to approve the project. It will be before Town Council for final approval on May 5th. Next, a plan to replace windows at the West Barnstable Community Building, also part of the fiscal 17 capital improvement plan, was presented.
This you saw last time. I'll go quickly through it. West Barnstable Community Building, built in 1903 as a school. Here's the original building. I think that's the first graduating class on the lower left. It's listed on the historic district in 1973, National Register District in 1987, and National Register MRA in 1987. This is the building. The windows in the building are replacement aluminum windows that have failed. I was talking to a citizen who runs a card club in there, and she said that she has to have some of the gentlemen stand up on the windowsills to get some of the windows closed. That's not something we want people to be doing. There's been a number of improvements over the years done by structures and grounds, conversion from oil heat to gas, foundation drain system, schoolhouse lighting installed, floor restoration, blackboard restoration, brick chimney, pointing and waterproofing. The new roof went on. Handicap ramp reconstruction, new septic system renovated, lower and first floor toilets, new gutters, paint restoration, window blinds, first floor hall sink and tile, and rear ADA toilet entrance, you see on the lower left. And the aluminum windows were replacement windows that are worn out. We're proposing to install replicated wood windows with double insulated glass, but they'd be historically accurate as far as the lines of them. And here's the budget. We're asking that the funds that are already invested in the building be considered matching funds, and we have a construction cost of $158,730 that we're requesting from CPC.
That project was approved, and again, final approval will be made by Town Council during its May 5th meeting. Be sure to tune in to our hour-long daily news program, Barnstable This Morning, on the air each weekday morning at 8 a.m. Tune in tomorrow to hear from Director of Growth Management, Joanne Miller-Buntich, and Director of Finance, Mark Milne. plus all of the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin.